We are on YouTube. Wow. On a Thursday on that. We got a lot of good things coming up on that. Well, Jesse runs the controls and stuff and gets us up on Facebook Live. And obviously maybe not obviously, we'll be coming aboard on at 5:30. We'll be rolling into KMET 1490 for our daily show on there from 5:30 to 6. So it'll be fun. We got a lot of good stuff. Susan Shelley on the bottom of the hour. And about the midway through this, we're going to have Eddie George from Hemet Eye News. On that, the lazy eye with a crazy guy.
It's the crazy guy with
Crazy
the
guy with a
lazy
lazy eye, or something like that. That's a dyslexic way of saying it.
You said it so good.
Yes. And but yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Of course, the impeachment stuff was going on, and Bernie and Pocahontas were at it again, and lots of good stuff.
Welcome to IE Newswire Daily with our hosts Stephanie and Roy, where we cover the news from the Inland Empire and beyond. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Yes, and we enjoy the show. Have we done that bumper? Is that a new one? I was gonna say I love the music to that. That's cool and funky type of music and we're a cool and funky type of show on this. Doing a lot of stuff. We're in on Thursday on IE Newswire Daily. Hooked up now on Facebook Live on that. There it goes. I mean, what? Ain't even a minute into the Facebook Live, and here comes the cough. But we've done it the past 2 days. We've started it, and we're actually rebroadcasting or doing what they call Facebook Premiere. We're going to do it in the mornings. We're going to see how this works out. So it looks like it's working out pretty good. But if you don't catch the show on that, we're going to replay it. We did 7:30 today, 7:30 in the morning. I don't know. We might switch it around. See what kind of reaction or viewership it gets on there. But so if you see us coming up on Facebook Live on the morning, that's the previous show that we're repeating on that. So all of those who cannot catch us during this time slot will have the opportunity to roll us in and hear all the great news and information and all the neat things you come in to tune in on the show all the time for. Lots of things. And I don't know if we'll get to it today. Maybe we'll schedule it tomorrow. But there's a cop in Riverside that's suffering from reparations on because he didn't write enough, or he's claiming he's was passed over for promotions or because he didn't write enough tickets. Well, we've all probably suspected that there's been quotas. It's actually, I think it's actually against the law for the police, CHP or whatever, to demand arrest or ticket quotas per se. But he's claiming that, so maybe we'll run this guy down, or maybe his attorney or something, and find out what's going on. If I think he's filed a lawsuit or something, but that just heard about that. I didn't really read the story on that, so I don't know that we'll be getting into it today. Big news that broke today was on the meter. Bo Yarborough, who wrote the great article on the Paris pension deal, filed today in the Press Enterprise. School board member Jesus Holguin had a lawsuit filed against him for harassment from an ex-assistant principal at one of the schools, and Superintendent Martin Rex Keziadora was also made the allegations on both of them. One for Holguin for alleged harassment and for basically retaliation on the part of the school district and the superintendent on that. She is subsequently quit, filed a lawsuit, I think, for $1.5 million. We'll follow that. We covered the story when it first broke about a year ago or so, and we'll see where that all goes. So that's an interesting case on that just came up today, or an interesting development on a case that's been doing that. Just seems like there's nothing more that goes on in this news that goes on up and down the line each and every day. But we ran the clip. Run yesterday's clip a little bit. Find that one, just the 30-second one. I think it's in the whichever one that we did on Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, and Bernie. The one that we did yesterday, the little 30-second clip of what started it. Because there's another one that came up on that. They had the after party, as you could say, but after that, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders had a heck of a confrontation about this little incident that happened last night. And just so I think, and I had Jesse set up the second one, but I want to replay the first video on that. Go ahead, just so you know how it started on that for anybody who didn't catch it yesterday. So play the first clip.
I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed. Bernie is my friend.
I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed.
Now, beyond just the, and we went into it yesterday, the loaded question, Bernie said, no, I never said that. Then the loaded question from the ding dong who's at CNN that's running the debate. Well, what did you think? Key word, when Sanders said a woman can't win the presidency. Keyword when. And like I said, that's the wife beater question. If you answer the question, you're automatically guilty. You know, the standard question, well, when did you stop beating your wife? Well, if you answer that question, you're automatically admitted guilt to that of that. So she asked the exact same question. She asked Bernie that, and then she addresses Pocahontas over there with a statement, not a question of, hey, where do you have the evidence, or when did this happen? What did you think when, keyword, when Sanders said a woman can't win the presidency? So we went through that, and that got out. But this is the second clip of what happened after the debate, where they came in. And this is Pocahontas going after Bernie Sanders on the deal right after the debate, and good old Tom Steyer was standing there with like this dumbfounded look. But play the second clip of what happened after the debate.
With applause still ringing at the end of the Democratic debate in Iowa last night, the simmering feud between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders suddenly boiled over.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion. You called me. You told me. All right, let's not do it now.
I don't want to get in the middle, but I just want to say hi, Bernie.
Yeah, good.
Okay, right there, Stuck.
Okay.
I mean, Bernie's correct. She called him. She's the one that's saying that. Well, one of them's not telling the truth. Let's put it that way. He's saying he never said it. She's saying he did, and jumping on is in that. And again, the way this is all set up of that, and this smacks of the 2016 campaign, but when Bernie, in the primaries, when Bernie was running against Hillary. And the whole thing, and they threw Tulsi Gabbard, who was number 2 on the Democratic committee, when she was questioning what was going on, saying they're rigging this thing for Hillary. And what's the magpie that was running the Democratic committee, which was one of Hillary's henchwomen over there? They fired her off of that gig because she dared question or was exposing what was going on in the whole thing. And now they're trying to screw Sanders again because these two are fighting over the same deal. And Sanders now is bumping up in the polls. Pocahontas is going down. He's raising more money. So she's running like a desperate campaign in my deal of that. And how many times has Pocahontas, and I'm saying that because the whole Indian thing was a lie. I mean, she's been caught.
She's really not Indian?
No, like 1/10 of 1,000th of 1% possibly of that. And she's going on about that. And I mean, there's a whole string of stuff that I disagree with Bernie probably 98.7% of the time.
Does.
But I mean, I think Bernie is sincere and believes what he does, and Bernie doesn't go around lying except for the free stuff. But we'll get into that's another story.
We're not going to get into that.
Yes, But I mean, Bernie's a true believer in that. No matter how wrong-headed he is about it, he's a true believer. He doesn't go around like her making up stories like this. Now, I could say the conversation maybe went something like this. Maybe Bernie said something, because they're senators, they're talking, and he's running for president, and I can't remember. Maybe Liz was supporting Hillary, who knows? But maybe he said something like, maybe Hillary's not going to be the woman president, which would have been a very accurate prediction, or something like that. But I think Liz, Pocahontas, always wants to hear or frame, and her career has been by this. She wants to frame it as she wants to see it or hear it or fits her narrative, not what reality is. And so I'm saying that, again, it looks like they're trying to screw Sanders again in the Democratic Party, the dominant media, because if you are asking a question at a debate, and I mean, I've run debates before and asked and moderated them stuff, you don't ask questions per se of what did you think when you're doing that, after he says I did not say that.
You would never ask a question like that?
No, I wouldn't ask it in that. I wouldn't. That is not a question.
Trickery?
Yes, because it says, what did you think when Sanders said a woman can't win the presidency? Well, you have no idea. He says he didn't say it. You're not doing the proper, a proper moderator, investigative reporter. Well, the next question is, well, where did this happen? What was the context? What were you talking about? Da 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 da. Not just that is rubber stamping. That's why I say the way the goofball that was doing the moderating or making the statement, not asking a question or something.
So they were setting him up, right?
Yes, exactly.
I got it.
Yes.
You didn't even have to explain it that much.
Wow.
What? And I'm sick as heck too. I want to throw that out there. You gave me your sickness. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
I was choking.
on the deal,
It's
but
like that cough that gets you, man.
so yes, I only had the sniffles for a day, but the cough is still, like you said.
Did you have a fever? I had a fever yesterday.
Maybe the one day when I had the sniffles, I had the fever and chills a little bit, but that was it.
He says sniffles.
And
thanks for joining in. Sorry, Eddie says he'll be on in a few minutes.
Yes, we're gonna have Eddie George here in a couple minutes.
Lucy and John, thanks for checking in on us.
Yes, we're all that. Again, this Roxa, they're setting Sanders up again because it looks like he's
unbelievable.
He's going to do that, and again, it's ridiculous. We're making a mockery of our elections with this crap. First, like I said, they are not debates or nothing. They're entertainment shows now. We have not had one legitimate news conference forum debate of the Democratic presidential candidates.
You know what? That's why I haven't even bothered watching it.
That's why I did. Yes, I have not watched one.
I have not. That's on tonight. I'm not even going to.
And even as a political junkie as I have, and I said, I have not watched any of them. I did like that. I mean, I just caught these clips because the rest of it is a complete waste of my time because there's nothing substantive that you're going to learn on this whole thing. On that. Zero. They're entertainment shows. If you want to watch Jerry Springer or Oprah Winfrey or that type of show, then watch the debates because that's what you're going to get. You do not make.
How do you compare Jerry and Oprah? That's just
well, they're the same type.
No, they're not. But that's cool.
Okay, we got that crazy guy with the lazy eye from Hemet Eye News, Eddie George. We got him to bring us an update in on the Hemet News. Welcome back, Eddie. You're on with Stephanie and Roy.
What's up, man? Why do you call me names all the time? I'm just joking. How you doing, brother?
Well, I just get that whole presidential thing and all that are going on. I figured, well, it just got me fired up on that like I didn't know I did that because Jesse said, well, what is that saying he does? He couldn't remember it. And I said, that's it. But that's a cool, catchy phrase you got for yourself, and I love it.
Hey, I had to take a negative, turn it into something positive, Yeah. But how you and Stephanie doing?
Absolutely fantastic.
Never better.
Thirsty
Thursday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, today's Thirsty Thursday.
There you go, Thirsty Thursday.
Our sponsor, El Zarapia shout out. All you can eat Baja fish tacos for $12.99, and of course, we got that $2 domestic import beers all night. Just drink responsible.
Yes. Have a designated driver if you're drinking.
Always.
Exactly. Call an Uber, folks.
Yes. Well, that could be a problem in California now that they're trying to eliminate that poor service. But that's a subject for a different day. You mentioned El Zarapi, and I think they're on the list of very fine businesses in and around Hemet that donated prizes, and the city council recognized a lot of you on that. But first, we'll get to that in a second. We'll run the video and recognize those businesses. But we talked about it last week when you were on. About all the stuff, let's just put it kindly, that was going on. Well, as I read it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the report basically said from the official fire department, police department authorities that this was just an accident. It was an electrical fire. There was nothing nefarious going on. It's just one of those things that happened, and we had this tragedy come out of it. But nobody intentionally did anything to cause this great tragedy.
Exactly, very true. There was a lot of rumors in our town, Roy, that this was set by the family member and da-da-da. And of course, when people don't know what they're talking about, rumors get out and, cause a lot of damage for somebody. So I jumped in, got involved, and we started investigating it. And of course, we come to find out the truth that it was not that. And the police investigated it. The fire department investigated it. And we put out the word on what it was. Even Chief Scott Brown called me up and told me, he said he really appreciate what we did and how we put that story out. He said it was definitely from the heart. He said, I've never really seen a media story put out that great. He says, thank you for standing up and clearing that up for the communities. So, Scott Brown, I'll give you a shout out, buddy.
There's that cough again.
Uh-oh.
It is, and I don't know if you've experienced this, Eddie, but I can go all day not cough. I'm trying to get over this cold.
That he gave to me. Let me throw that out there. He gave it to me, and it hit me yesterday.
You need to go get you some CBD coffee down here in Hemet. We got a CBD store over there. How to get rid of it, bro.
Well, I'm game for about anything for that. But when of that coming up on that, again, it was like it is, and we talked about that, changing the narrative, and I think organizations like ours and yours and are starting to turn the tide on this, and we're starting to get the truth out there of stuff. And we're, as we discussed last week, we're starting to convince the public officials that, hey, we're not out there against you. We just want to get the truth out. And when you get the truth out, it's actually going to benefit not only the public, but you guys too.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's one thing I can say, Roy. I can give a good shout out to our local police department and our local fire department. We work hand in hand and network with Captain Brock a lot of times out here with him and police. And our goal with the fire department and the police department is to actually network our community with our police, and we basically are the middlemen for the police to the public and the public to the police. So, and they like that, they actually see how we're actually out there standing for the people, so it's a good thing, it's community looking out for each other, folks, not peering through your window and looking at each other.
There you go.
Exactly.
And have the video up on that. We got some video from the city council meeting Tuesday that recognized some of the great people. We'll run down the list after we play the short clip on the video of that, because I really want to recognize this guy on there to do that, because he had a lot to do with it. So tell me when you got the clip up and ready to go.
Yeah, and before you run that clip, I do want to give an update on that. They did put in there one restaurant was called Tacos and Beer that helped out with coupons. That was actually, I want to let everybody know, that was actually a misprint. That was actually SoCal Tacos and Beers, so make sure they get their proper shout out.
SoCal Tacos and Beers, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, when you got the clip ready, Jesse, give me the thumbs up and that, and play this short clip on that from the Hemet City Council meeting.
In our community right after Christmas. And notwithstanding the tragedy and the unfortunate loss of lives in that, one of the measures of a community is how well it responds when something bad happens. And so for this community to rise up the way it did in support of the victims of the fire, and there's victims at all sorts of levels. including the people who were significantly displaced out of their homes and lost personal items and in some cases lost the opportunity for employment. So there's a number of things that happen downstream of an incident like that.
Okay, we're going to bump it up. That was the introduction of that, of some of the deals. So this one.
Yeah, you're actually listening to Mayor Russ Brown, and that's Carly Meyer on the left.
This is that crazy guy with the lazy eye who's getting a certificate. There you are. So yeah, they're on that. We just showed the clip of you getting your certificate on that, and yeah, it was a great deal on the whole thing, all that. And I'm going to run down some of the businesses. I hope I get them all, but you'll do me. Correct me if I miss any of them. But there's a here we go. Cloverleaf Foundation donated furniture. Billy and Elia, the neighbors, they took in some of the people right after that, who were displaced from the fire, put them in their house. So Lieutenant James and Katrina Fleming of the Salvation Army helped out with the displaced residents. Donna Shea of the Salvation Army, who worked around the clock. Joe of Early Bird Cafe and his wife donated gift cards for the and held fundraisers. Carlos Valdez of Taqueria, if I'm saying that right, El Grande, donated gift cards to Feed the Families. Esfin, neat name, and Yolanda, question mark, of El Zarapi, who you said at the sponsor who's having the specials on tonight. They donated meals to 25 plus. What is that? Ukuda Mongolian Grill?
That's actually, they misspelled it wrong.
Oh,
that's IDQ.
IDQ Mongolian Grill. They donated 25 meals. Saboba Casino donated a New Year's Eve meal to 25 and meals to the Red Cross Shelter. Don Nelson of Stadium Pizzas, another one that donated the 25 plus meals to the Red Cross Shelter. Travis and Lisa Osterlock of George's Pizza donated 25 meals at the Red Cross. Al Cubane of Boy's Burger, another one that kicked in 25 meals. Panda Express kicked in 25 meals.
Wow.
SoCal, if I got this right, Taco and Beer, that's another one that kicked in 25. Julio Guzez of Harvard Music Exchange held a benefit concert to help the victims. Joe Mates of the American Legion Commander hosted families at their Friday night dinners. And, of course, that crazy guy with the lazy eye, Eddie George, secured many food donations and delivered meals to the shelter, even going beyond the Call of Duty. Some of the things you did, Eddie, to help out a lot of people. I know a lot of people don't know behind the scenes a lot of the work you and Lori and your crew did to help them out, help out all the on top of setting the record straight on this, which is sometimes even more valuable than even doing the work that you did helping the families.
Yeah, we all did a great job as a community, and there's one other person too, Roy, that I want to give a shout out to that I feel that should get an award. And that's Carly Meyer. Carly Meyer was involved in this like crazy. She went far and beyond. She even opened her home up to one of the families and let them sleep in her house, and even their bird, their pet parrot. So that was very cool of her. So, I know she didn't get any recognition for that, but I definitely want to say, shout out to Carly Meyer for doing that.
Was that the lady that was on the first of that was handing out the awards, or?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, that was Carly on the left.
So, yeah, as you're watching the video, that's the lady that's handing out the awards, standing next to the mayor and handing the award to Eddie and all the other folks that we mentioned on that. And this is why I wanted to do this and have it out there because, Moreno Valley, San Bernardino, Hemet, and a lot of places out here, we've taken a lot of brickbats over the many years about, and maybe some of them deservedly. I'm not saying that it isn't, but when things go right, or we do need to show when it's kind of maybe like a family. We might fight amongst ourselves, but when trouble comes on that, we all band together and we help each other out.
I agree.
That's right. That's the way it is too. And I also, if you were talking about other stories in Hemet, I got a story that I want you to cover with us as well.
Go ahead.
I'm going to be going tomorrow sometime and doing an interview with this. We have a mobile home park that came to me today. You know how cold it's been out there for the last several days, Roy.
Yes.
And they had a major gas leak out there somewhere in their mobile home park. And they shut their gas off on January the 6th. And to this day, these people are still out of gas. They said that they're going to be out of gas and probably until around the 24th of this month. Now, what is the mobile home manager, the park manager doing about this to assist these people? They said there's nothing we can do. We can bring you portable showers outside. Who wants to take a shower in 30-degree weather, outside? These people have no heat. They can't cook. They have no hot water to wash clothes. So, I mean, what is your intake? What would you think, Roy? These people ain't even offering to even give these residents, which is a lot of senior citizens, this is a senior citizen mobile home park, a motel stays or something. It's just, I want to start creating some heat for these residents, because like I said, I am about the people, and these people has came to us and actually asked us for help. And if you will, I will go ahead and let me see if I can send you a video real quick, and if you can have your DJ pull that up, and I'll show you a little bit about what this mobile home park is going through.
Yeah, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left in this segment, but yeah, we'll try and get it up. But give me some. What is the underlying reason? I mean, did they not pay the bill? Is there facilities that are not up to snuff?
It's gas leak. Is basically they're trying to find somebody within their budget to come out and work on it. Here's a video right now I just sent you. It's on its way to you right now as we speak. They got trenches dug up all over the place trying to fix this leak, but now they have nobody to fix the leak. So they have holes in their yards, no gas, no heat, no hot water, and nobody's even planning on doing anything about it.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's a issue of infrastructure that the facilities are not up to snuff to put this out. And check my messages, see if we got that. He's not finding, but we'll cover this. We'll try and find it, and maybe we'll play the video later on in the show. But yeah, I'm glad you made us aware. Let's see if we can rally up some support, get out there and get that situation fixed. Because yeah, what is this? 10 days now they've been without gas or heat or anything to do that?
Yeah.
It's been so
Today's
cold.
been 10 days, and they have no plans on when they're going to get it fixed, and they said it could be up to the 24th. So this video is trying to send to you. I might have to just airdrop it to my computer.
But yeah, just send it in on that, and we'll play it later on in the show because we're just about out of time. But I wanted to give you big props, you and everybody in the Hemet community that rallied around this. Not only helping out the victims, but setting the record straight. It's what we should be doing, what we will be doing, and it just shows you what happens when we will put our collective efforts together
That's
for
right.
something positive.
And quick update on that fire, too. Before I get off of here, I want to give a shout-out to Jim Lindbergh over at Community Pantry. I will be over there tomorrow at the apartment complex. I will be doing an updated story on the HemetEyeNews.com page. Jim Limburger in the Community Pantry is going to be helping one of the families out tomorrow. They're letting people move back into the apartment complex where it's not so damaged, and they are in need of a refrigerator. So the Community Pantry stepped up, and they're going to be delivering and donating a refrigerator to one of the residents. So we'll be there bringing you a good news story.
You got it. That's absolutely fabulous. Big props to them for doing that. It just goes to show when somebody is truly in need, you're going to get help somewhere around, no matter what. Thanks, Eddie, for giving us the update on that. Congratulations to you and everybody who helped out. All those who were recognized and even those who weren't. Everybody that pitched in any kind of effort.
That's awesome.
Yeah, time, money,
That's a beautiful thing.
anything on that.
It's great when the community comes together. And
Yes,
pulls-
the whole
is,
Hemet
it
community deserves big props. Thanks for being on, Eddie.
Bye,
You
Eddie.
betcha, Roy. Hey, do something about that cough, bro. I hope you get feeling better. Good
You
to
got
hear
it.
From you and Stephanie. Y'all keep up the great work.
You got it. Thank you, Eddie.
HemetEyeNews.com, and I am off my chair now to here.
There you go. Thanks a lot. Yeah, there's that crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News, Eddie George, great guy on that. We're going to be rolling in here to KMAT pretty much, and we'll have a Susan Shelley on that. Susan Shelley back up to talk about all the news and comments and stuff on that we had on. We actually had her boss, the president of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, John Coppell, on yesterday.
I heard him. He did
On
great.
that. Yeah, so,
Loved everything he said.
30 seconds.
We got that was a great interview. I haven't talked to John for a while.
I know,
so,
it has been a while.
yeah, so we had a lot of stuff to catch up about, but a lot of great things on that, and even gave a big shout out to Jeff Hewitt, the supervisor, and the city of Paris for paying down their pension debt, which is going to be another.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
10 seconds to go. We'll be
am.com. Go to the homepage, click on the SoundCloud tab, and hear any show anytime you want.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome to IE Newswire Daily with our hosts Stephanie and Roy, where we cover the news from the Inland Empire and beyond. So sit back and enjoy the show.
We're back on IE Newswire Daily on Thursday. On that, you just heard those of you who were tuning in on our webcast. We had Eddie George on there to give us a big update on the happenings in Hemet on that, and all the people that pitched in. We want to give them big props to all the Hemet folks that came to the aid of those who were displaced in the Alessandro Hemet apartment fire, to help out the family that lost, their dad and two or three of the kids in that
so
fire.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, so that the dad actually passed away trying to rescue the other ones going back into the fire. That was a real tragedy. But the whole community of Hemet has rallied around that, and big props to them because, like you said, Hemet's taken a lot of brickbats over the years over that, but this is one of the nice things that's really happened out there. We covered a little bit of the whole Pocahontas deal on that, and we're going to have Susan Shelley coming up here in a bit on that to give us an update on her great stories, columns, and everything that she has going on across the board, because she has some great insights. So, like I said, we had her boss, John Coppell, the president of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. She's actually the vice president and editorial writer of many newspapers across there. So it's a great day of that. Although the storms are going to be coming in, it looks like we're going to be getting a rain. So those of you who are still commuting home or listening to us on KMET 1490 AM, the Mighty Met,
drive safe.
Yes, please drive safely on this whole enchilada. We don't need to be losing any listeners. In fact, we want to be gaining listeners.
Do, so share it with all your friends, neighbors, people you don't even know. Say,
Yes.
hey, there's this really cool chick and some annoying dude that's on the radio. Tune in. I mean, they're great.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, what do you say to that?
I don't know.
No, it's a lot of stuff. We're gonna post the pen picture of that. You ain't gonna believe this on the non-impeachment that's going on that, which I've said is just about going to guarantee the re-election of Donald J. Trump on the whole enchilada. We're really it's a crazy times. With the election, the debates, what's going on between Pocahontas and Bernie going on there. But we do have on the line now, as we said, the editorial writer of the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Redlands Daily Facts, Inland Daily Bulletin, and about a gazillion newspapers all across Southern California. But most important, I believe, is Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome back to the show with Stephanie and Roy.
Thank you. Great to be here.
We'll get into your columns in a minute, but we just want to get your take on this whole deal with Pocahontas and Bernie breaking out. First, the loaded question. Bernie denies it, and then the ding-dong person. These are not debates. They are entertainment shows. But she says, what did you think, keyword when, Sanders said a woman can't be president? I mean, this to me smacks of the old question, when did you stop beating your wife? If you answer the question, you're automatically admitting guilt. I mean, they were trying to set Bernie up, but then what was even more interesting, what was happening after the debate. But what was your take on that?
Well, I thought the question to Elizabeth Warren after Bernie Sanders denied it, and then the question was, what did you think when he said it? That was just awful. I mean, maybe she just had the questions written down that way, but doing them in that order was like the reporter was calling him a liar, which is not the role of a mediator in a debate. And I just thought that was awful because it's just so unprofessional. You know, you have to be courteous to these people when you're asking them questions. And then if you want to analyze it later and say, I don't think he told the truth, that would be something different. But right there on the air, to turn away from Sanders after he says he didn't say it and ignore the fact that he denied it is just not good journalism. I thought that was awful. And I don't know what to make of that little fight they had in after the debate.
I said it, and I said it earlier in the show when we were on there, but my take on it was, you know, I mean, I probably disagree with BS Bernie about 98% of the time, but he's a true believer, and I think he doesn't go around telling stories. I mean, from the Pocahontas Indian story on down, I mean, how many whoppers has Elizabeth Warren told?
Well, that's a very good point. She's been caught in a number of distortions of the facts, let's call it.
I mean, if I'm guessing, I mean, and we talked about a little bit of that and that, and you know, Tulsi Gabbard, who was number 2 at the Democratic Committee, you know, under what the Hinch lady was that was running Hillary's campaign and DNC, but she got fired because she said, you know what, they're setting Bernie up and they're trying to rig this for Hillary, and they got rid of her. Of that, and this smacks to me. This smacks to the conspiracy, if you want to call it that, of the dominant media and the Democratic Party trying to select candidates.
Yeah, that could be. It could be. But I have always felt that it's going to be Biden because he's just so much better known among Democratic primary voters than any of the others. And while everyone who watches politics closely is paying attention to the day-to-day quibbling that goes on for a year or year and a half, most of the voters don't tune in until the very end. So I kind of think it's going to be Biden, and everything else is just filling airtime.
You're making them choke, Susan.
Yes, yes, you actually are. Because on that deal, I mean, you're kind of ruining my day because I really hope
Susan, stop.
I really hope it's Hillary or Pocahontas because the entertainment value of that's going to be absolutely great. But we'll get to your columns.
I'll be entertaining. That I can promise.
Yes, like I said, 45 is the most entertaining president, bar none, we've ever had.
Yeah.
You give him material again like Hillary Clinton or Pocahontas, and it'll be great.
Nobody's going to beat him. He's signing trade deals. He's killing terrorists. He's making the stock market go boom. Nobody's going to beat him. This is silly. This is all just CNN filling airtime. They actually could go to syndicated sitcoms at this point. They could run reruns of I Love Lucy. It would affect the race exactly that much.
Well, if CNN would run reruns of I Love Lucy, I might actually tune into their program because I have not tuned into their debates. Other than just watching these clips as I hear them on the news, I have not watched one Democratic debate up to this point.
And that's saying something.
They're painful to watch. They really are. It's just, and they're predictable and it's tedious. But unless something terrible happens to Joe Biden from a health perspective, I really don't see any way that Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders or Mayor Pete or Amy Klobuchar or any of these people, I just don't see any way that they beat him. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it.
Yeah, you never know. As we say, politics can change in a heartbeat. We're going to just get into your columns because you're the first one, or the one that really caught, well, both of them did. The piece through strength, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you had this housing first thing is a big waste of what?
Yes, time and money. in the middle of a crisis. You know, there's this idea which popped up in policy discussions that housing first is the solution to homelessness. Where did this idea come from? Well, it turns out that Utah claimed in 2015 that they reduced chronic homelessness by 91% over 10 years by doing a policy of housing first. In other words, providing apartments and supportive services. And they were so cynical and sarcastic to everybody else. It's like, well, obviously, if you have people who are homeless, you give them a home and the problem goes away. And it was all rather arrogant. So all of these local governments in California start talking about this housing first thing, that we're going to do this. So they want huge tax increases. They want to approve apartment buildings, very high density, with all these costly supportive services which require more taxes. And yet, the problem gets worse and worse. Well, it turns out that in 2016, these numbers from Utah were completely debunked. There was no reduction in chronic homelessness. There was a reduction in how many they counted and how many they classified as chronically homeless. And if you took out those changes, there was no reduction at all. And this makes perfect sense if you've been watching what happens in California. It doesn't work. It's way too expensive. It doesn't begin to solve the problem. We need different solutions. We need emergency shelters. We need psychiatric hospitals. We need substance abuse programs in residential settings. We need to look at changes to the law to empower the police to get people into diversionary programs where they're perhaps arrested but then put into treatment programs, or arrested and put into hospital settings, or something that gives the police some leverage, so we don't have the situation like we have today, which is the social workers go out and they make contact, but until the people are, quote, ready to accept help, we have no choice but to let them have tent encampments on our sidewalks. It's just cruel.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we had the boss, John Coppell, on yesterday, and talking about the pensions and the looming $15 billion bond and stuff. But like with that in this housing crisis, along with fighting those battles, the solution to that, and we got to get a 50% plus one majority in California. It's going to start swinging the pendulum back. Getting some just some normal, not worry about political ideology, just some normal sanity into some of our public policy. Because if we don't, I'm afraid of the train wreck that's between homelessness and pensions and our roads clogged and businesses leaving. This is not adding up to a pretty picture to me.
No, it's very distressing. And we're about to lose a congressional seat. So it's not our imagination that we're losing people to other states. We really are losing people to other states in significant numbers. California has never lost a congressional seat after a census. We have never gone down in population until now. First time ever. Thank you, Democrats. You know, if this was East Germany, we'd have to have a wall to keep people from leaving. And it's not East Germany, and people are leaving. We don't have a wall. People can go to other states. If you want lower taxes than you're paying in California, you have 49 other choices. You can't miss. Anywhere you go, your taxes are lower than they are in California.
Yeah, you were almost reading my mind, because that was the thought that was in my head. Is this is the first year we've had a net decrease in population in the state, and even so. Now it's even starting to work in the population. Now even a lot of our lower income residents are leaving because they just flat can't afford to live here anymore.
It's really tough. They have, because of policy choices, we have the highest electricity rates and the highest gasoline prices and the highest food prices and the highest housing prices, and all of this is because of stupid policies. We could reverse all of it. We need better people in government. We need a new direction. This can all be fixed. This is all man-made damage. And it's deeply offensive to watch these politicians in Sacramento denouncing the people they're governing as not being sufficiently willing to sacrifice for the greater good, by paying more and more. Now they want to put up apartment buildings next to single-family houses because it's wrong to have just one residence on land. That's not right. Then you've got squatters in Oakland claiming that property rights themselves are akin to slavery, which is so twisted and crazy. It's out of control. The policies are failing, and people are flailing around looking for solutions. But the solutions are the opposite of these policies that are causing the problem. Not more of the policy, but the reverse of the policy. We can fix it all.
Yeah, and I even sense the frustration in your voice, because I mean I have the same thing. What is it going to take to wake up the majority of folks in California to what is going on in here? And I mean, I really hate to have it to the place where everything is collapsing. I mean, we just had a deal with the Eddie George of Hemet Eye News on there, where a trailer park is, they've had no gas because
that's insane. Gas.
Yeah, they have a gas leak. They can't fix it. They have no money to fix it and stuff like that. And again, like I said, that's why I pointed it out. Now it's affecting our lower income residents, the ones that need help, the ones that are vast majority
already
are
struggling enough.
Yeah, and buying into this whole free logic that is a fallacy. And I would really hope that we're not going to keep reporting more stories like this coming on, but I'm afraid we are the path we're going.
Well, there's an interesting story going on with this Assembly Bill 5, which essentially outlawed freelance work in California, or fix it so you can do so little of it that you can't support yourself. The freelance writers and journalists and photographers were in Sacramento to meet with Lorena Gonzalez, who wrote this hideous bill. And some of them were telling reporters, I'm a Democrat and I voted for these people and I feel betrayed. So now we know what the level is that gets everybody's attention. You have to completely wipe out a person's ability to make a living. And then they're awake. That's what it takes.
Yes.
But, just a little tax increase, price increase, the cost of housing going up, that doesn't seem to do it. But if you completely wipe out somebody's livelihood, that will get them awake enough to say, what is Sacramento doing to me? That's kind of a shame, because that's a pretty savage bar for everybody to meet just to clean up the politics in this state.
Yeah, I've always said that. It's usually, and it's kind of sad sometimes, but it comes to that point where people don't react until it is actually affecting them personally on something like this, but they don't see how the cumulative effect of all this stuff is affecting and getting them to this point of that. But when the crisis comes in, they're walking around saying, how did this happen?
Right. Well, the other thing is we don't have voter ID in this state, so we don't really know how many people are happy and voting for this. We don't really know. We know there are a lot of people who think, well, I don't know, there's nothing I can do. But how many people are really happy with it? That we're not so sure. And there are 3 states that don't have voter ID that have very high taxes: New York, Illinois, and us. And I don't know that that's a coincidence. People say, who's voting for this? Well, maybe nobody's voting for this.
True.
But there's just a lot of headstones voting, a lot of people who shouldn't be voting, and we get these people and we get these policies. So we need voter ID in this state. That'll help. And we need to change our environmental policies so they make sense and they don't cause us more problems than they solve. So in that category, we should be building housing in outlying communities where people want to buy homes, where they choose to buy homes, where they can afford to buy homes, and where somebody wants to build homes to sell them. And if we let that happen and get the government out of the way, because, the government thinks that if people drive from their house to work, it's bad for the earth. And they think that single-family homes are bad for the earth. And it's just all crazy.
Yes, it is. We got about 5 minutes left. I want to get to your other column because this is probably as or more important. Peace through strength.
Yes, peace through strength. The president's actions in Iran were so interesting. And watching the Democrats and some people in the media criticizing him for it was just... It was like 2 days of, it's World War III, there's going to be a draft, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, Iran's going to retaliate, it's going to go nuclear, it's the end of the world. But it wasn't. He shot a really bad guy with a drone, which probably got the attention of a lot of other really bad guys and people working for really bad regimes all around the world. Frankly, if I was a general working for one of these dictators and I saw that the president could fire a missile from a drone and kill me in my car at the airport, I think I would probably go look for another line of work rather than go shoot Americans. I think I would take that as a cue for a career change. So he did that, and nothing bad happened. Everything's okay, and he's got a good shot at peace in Iran. You know, the people who went into the streets to protest were protesting the regime, not the Americans. That's good. This could work out very well. And I went back and I looked at some historical examples of peace through strength, of taking. There's always this argument when a country is aggressive, should you make a deal with the aggressor, or should you show force, stand firm, show force, show willingness to use force, and stand up for yourself. And in the first category, you get situations like Jimmy Carter in the 1979 seizure of the American embassy and 52 hostages. He said he would never use force. They were held for 444 days. Lyndon Johnson reacted to North Korea's seizure of an intelligence ship, the USS Pueblo, by saying he wouldn't use force, he would use diplomacy. And that took 11 months. The crew was tortured. They were only released when the United States apologized to North Korea for a so-called intrusion, which was really not an intrusion. We were in international waters. And the Pueblo, the intelligence ship, is still in North Korea. That's how that worked out. And yet you look at something like the Mayaguez incident, which was President Gerald Ford. This was an American cargo ship that was seized by Cambodians. And Ford said, well, I could use diplomacy, but instead I think I'm going to send the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines. And he did. And it was a very brief fight. But Ford said, I'm not going to let thugs all around the world think that they can just take a shot at the United States. We're not just a target for these people. And that worked. That was better. And what Trump did is in that category. What Obama has done in different cases, remember the Islamic State did all these attacks in Paris, and Obama could have said all options are on the table, but instead he ruled out the use of ground troops to fight ISIS on this territory, its caliphate that it was controlling in Syria and Iraq. Well, under Trump's policies, ISIS doesn't control that territory any longer. There is no caliphate on the ground. So whose policies are better, the ones that are aggressive and show force, or the ones that back off and make a deal and say, we're going to use diplomacy and never use force? History indicates stand firm, show willingness to use force, and it straightens things out a lot faster.
The hillbilly way of saying this is, that testosterone sometimes is a good thing. And
whatever.
And no, you're and you brought out the points of it. Who are the two?
You really did. You made that.
Who are the two guys
awesome.
That were supposedly the mad bombers were going to get us into the wars? In at least in my reign of terror of being on this earth, is Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. They're the two guys that
the world, right?
Yes, they're the two guys that have absolutely not got us into wars, exactly pulled troops out of wars on that for the exact same reason, because this is the way I do it. Both of them were basically, okay, all y'all around the world, if you want to yank our chain, see how it's going to work out for us, for you.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's the main thing, and you've pointed it with, and I've had contentions with the Bushes, the Clintons, and Obamas. They says the same thing. They've been negotiating and doing all this stuff. My theory is they're part of the military-industrial complex that's making a lot of money off this stuff. And they didn't want to shut off the gravy train, where guys like Trump and Reagan knew what a proper foreign policy was and had guts enough out there to go out and execute it.
Yeah. And you have a situation where professional diplomats who have spent their whole career studying these various agreements and negotiations and diplomacy and all this, they are horrified that a guy comes in with a fist and says, this far and no farther. My goodness, he doesn't have a degree, he didn't write a white paper, he didn't go to a conference and speak to some think tank. You can't just come in and say, here's my fist, go no farther. And yet, that works. There are situations where this is my fist is the right the right response. And professional diplomats told Reagan to take the tear down this wall line out of his speech in Berlin in 1987. Today, it's historic. And there's a piece of the Berlin Wall at the Reagan Library. Nobody saw that coming when Reagan ran for office.
Except Ronald Reagan. Yeah, he told George Shultz and Colin Powell, you guys don't know what you're talking about. We're out of here. We're going to bury their blank.
Exactly.
And that's basically what Trump has done.
We win, they lose. Wasn't that his Cold War strategy?
Yes.
We win, they lose.
Yes, we'll bury you economically. And on top of that, isn't it today, and I think I heard it, the impossible happened. Trump got a trade deal with China passed through Congress.
Isn't that wonderful? And the Senate passed the Mexico-Canada trade deal.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's going pretty well. And all of these things, this all creates better facts on the ground for dealing with all the other nations that want to harm us. Because when we have economic strength, it's much more difficult to come at us. And when we have economic allies, it's much more difficult for these enemies to break us apart and use us against each other. If we're working together with China, it's harder for Russia to get between us. It's harder for Iran to get between us because we're doing business. That's the path to a successful future and a peaceful world.
And this is why we run a little page out here on the Facebook called Moreno Valley Politics Matters and stuff. And yesterday I took and put a Trump 2020 Make America Great on the cover picture, and a couple of people got a little bit of angst at that, and we're even,
how did that go?
And we're even blaming that, or that is saying, well, who did it? Because there's some other moderators. And I said, no, I put that up there, and I was very darn proud of it just because of this reason. Trump straightening this stuff out. If we do not elect Donald J. Trump in 2020, the United States gets what we deserve, my opinion on that.
And I think even if they don't like him, at least be proud of the accomplishments he's making.
What are you going to argue
You did a great job.
against?
I don't like you. I don't want you here again, but good job on what you accomplished.
Susan, you got 30 seconds. Tell them why they should join HJTA.
Join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and strengthen the voice of taxpayers in California. We were talking earlier about how messed up the politics are in this state. Well, here's an organization that is fighting for you, fighting for taxpayers, fighting for homeowners, fighting to keep the government from taking your stuff. So go to hjta.org, join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and help us protect Proposition 13 and fight against all these tax increases, which the government people are constantly slipping onto the ballot when nobody's looking. We're going to fight them all.
Yeah, thanks for being on, Susan. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
That was fun. Again, it's just going to astound me. It astounds me the people. I think you said, I think I'm going to have to eliminate the GFB on the.
Even while I'm sick as heck. Right
yes,
now.
maybe
like
you
I'm
should be
dying,
sick
seriously.
more often.
Oh
Maybe
my
it helps
God.
you. Maybe it helps clear up your brain on that. No, but you were right. Even if you don't like Trump, and I get
At
that.
least just be happy.
Yes, everything's going good.
Everybody just wants to find a thing to
Yes.
complain about.
You're absolutely right on
They
that.
complain about people that are miserable.
We're going to be back tomorrow.
That don't make any sense.
On fun, fantastic,
Hopefully I'll feel
frivolous, freckless.
If anyone gets this cold, write in and blame Roy.
Yeah. You blame me for everything anyway, so
I guess.
might as well blame me for the cold and all the ills of the world.
Oh,
on
we're
that.
getting the fingers.
We'll be